September 5th edition of the MMAOB Daily podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin. I'll be taking you guys through the latest in the world of MMA. Guys, follow me on Twitter at MMAdamMartin. This podcast is available, as always, at MMAOddsbreaker.com. Go to our YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Also, check me out at bjpenn.com and MMARatings.net. A couple of things to talk about today, and then I'm going to get some fight announcements. But the first thing I did want to mention was I'm not going to do the Bellator preview today. I'm going to do it tomorrow. We don't have odds for it yet. Just the main event odds, but I'm kind of hoping that the rest of the odds for the main card drop. It's a really good card. There's some really good featherweight quarterfinal bouts. Yeah. So hopefully they come out tomorrow or tonight and in time for tomorrow's show. But either way, I'll do the preview for Bellator 226 tomorrow. But for today, I got a couple of pieces of news to talk about and then some fight announcements. So let's start with the main thing I wanted to get to, BJ Penn. BJ Penn will not be offered another fight by the UFC as of right now, according to UFC President Dana White. He says BJ needs to deal with his personal issues, and he will not be fighting Nick Lentz as rumored in November. So I think this is the right move. I've been saying in the podcast the last few days that the UFC needed to come up with some sort of statement or say that BJ will not be fighting anytime soon, because clearly he does have some personal stuff to take care of. Again, I work for BJPenn.com. I love BJ. But he does have some things outside the cage going on right now that he needs to take care of. Not just the bar incidents, but also some personal issues with his family and the custody battle he's going through. So he's got to take care of that stuff. I know BJ wants to fight, but Dana's right. He can't fight right now. So maybe that Nick Lentz fight will happen maybe next year. Maybe it won't happen ever again. Maybe BJ's done completely now. I don't know yet, but it is the right move to tell him, you know what, right now is not the right time for you to fight. I'm glad he went and said something. Dana White did an interview today with Brett Okamoto in Abu Dhabi. That's where I got this from. So go check that interview out if you want to see more of what Dana said. Basically, Dana was saying, I'm not BJ's father. I can't tell him what to do, but as the promoter, I can't let him fight when he's got so much going on. And obviously, Dana's making the right move here. Kudos to Dana White. He's actually making a good decision here by not allowing BJ to fight. And hopefully BJ can get all that stuff taken care of that's going on with him outside the cage. Because if he does want to fight again, you can't go in the octagon when you have that much stuff going on outside of the fighting circle. All right, a couple of things to talk about here. Also for that interview, Dana White said that he does not know what's going on with Nate Diaz right now. He says Nate might not even fighting him for 3 more years. He basically said he doesn't play into the lightweight title picture right now, and I assume that means welterweight as well. No thoughts on the Jorge Masvidal fight. No rumors of any sort of date or anything like that. Dana just said that Nate Diaz plays by his own rules, and he just doesn't know what's going on. I mean, the guy has fought one time in 3 years. It was nice to see him call Jorge Masvidal. I think we were all pumped up for that fight, but he's not the most reliable guy, and I can't really blame Dana for kind of hedging his bets on this one. Dana also talked about the UFC strawweight division, and he said that he's not sure who's next for Weili Zhang as well, but he did mention Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and he mentioned Tatiana Suarez as well. Or Rose Namajunas, sorry. He didn't mention Tatiana, sorry. He mentioned Rose Namajunas. I think Tatiana Suarez should be next in line. But Dana said Joanna and Rose by name. I guess that means Waterson as well if she beats Joanna. But, I think that the Joanna fight would be a lot of fun, and I think it makes a lot of sense if she does beat Waterson. We know Dana White loves Joanna. I think that stylistically that's a really good fight for Weili Zhang as well. So that's a fun fight. I actually like to see that fight, but, Tatiana Suarez deserves a title shot. She's been waiting a little while now. Maybe she does want to get another fight in. The last performance against Ansarov wasn't the greatest, but she still got the win. She's great. I think she deserves a shot, but if they go with Joanna, I'm not terribly unhappy with that. Rose, though, I think Rose needs to get a win. She defended her title, I think, once against Joanna. That's it. So she's got to get a win, I think, before she jumps in back to the title picture after getting knocked out in brutal fashion by Jessica Andrade. There's a few other things Dana talked about in the interview. He did mention that UFC 242 is trending very well as far as the pay-per-view goes. And apparently, Khabib Nurmagomedov, according to his father, will be making a record payday at UFC 242. So we don't know exactly what that is. Of course, they won't disclose everything that he's going to be paid, but I'm sure he's going to be paid quite a bit of money. He deserves it. Khabib's a great fighter, a talented fighter, and a star. This is something I want to mention as well. Dana White was asked by Brett Okamoto, is Khabib a bigger star than Conor McGregor right now? I'm surprised Dana didn't go and say, yeah, of course he is. Dana's like, I don't know about that. So I'm glad Dana didn't lie about that because there's no way he's bigger star than Conor. But Conor's not fighting much lately, and Khabib, I think, has the potential to possibly be that global superstar. But we'll see what happens. I still think Conor's the biggest star the UFC has. It'd be nice to see him come back and fight again sometime soon. Couple of fight announcements to get to. There's some pretty good fights coming up, guys. Like I keep talking about every day, every podcast I do, there's at least 1 or 2 fights being announced. I got 4 to talk about today. One of them, it's not necessarily official, but the UFC has announced this fight. It's a bantamweight bout at UFC Washington, D.C. in December between Cody, Stayman, and Song Yadong. Now, the funny thing about this is a good friend of mine, Cole Shelton, he's on the podcast doing the breakdowns with me. He talked to Cody Stayman yesterday, and Cody Stayman said he has not signed the contract. In fact, he's not even been asked for this fight, but the UFC's already announced it. So that's really weird, but it's another situation of the UFC probably pressuring a guy into taking a fight by prematurely announcing it. It's just kind of funny, though, that the fighter himself was not aware of the matchup when one of my colleagues and a journalist asked him. So Cody Stayman, if this fight happens, which I think it's going to happen because the UFC usually gets their way, but Cody Stayman, 18-2 record, 4-1 in the UFC, coming off a nice win over Alexandre Perez. Really good fighter, good wrestler, good young fighter. Tonya Dong, though, is a very special talent, 21 years old. Another one of these Chinese youngsters that's really making a mark in MMA right now. He's 14-3 and 2-0 contests in his career. He's on a 7-fight win streak right now. And he's actually 4-0 in the UFC, including a knockout win over Alexandre Perez in his last fight. So both guys coming off a knockout, or not a knockout win, but a win. Statement won a decision, but a win over Alexandre Perez in the last fight. So it does make sense they matched up. It's a fun fight. Stayman is a really tough matchup, I think, for a lot of guys, including Yadong, but Yadong is someone special, I think. You know, this guy's got a lot of KO power. He's got submission ability. I'm really impressed with this young kid, 21 years old. I kind of favor him in this fight, you know, just the age and the improvements he makes. 4-0 in the UFC right now, 3 performances with night bonuses. That says it all. This guy's special. So we'll see what happens. Looking forward to seeing the odds for that one. But if Yadong's, especially if he's a dog in that fight, I think you have to go with him. UFC South Korea gets another fight here. Alexandre Pantoja versus Matt Schnell in the flyweight division. Love this fight. Both guys, really good fighters as well. Pantoja coming off an amazing fight against Deiveson Figueiredo, one of the best fights of the year, one fight of the night at UFC 240 in Edmonton. He's 5-2 overall in the UFC. That loss snapped a 3-fight win streak for him, but man, he's looked good in the UFC. Really good fighter. Good record here as well, 21-4. Really good record. Matt Schnell has looked amazing as well, 29 years old, 14-4 record, 4-2 in the UFC. He got knocked out in his first 2 fights by Rob Font, Hector Sandoval, of all people. And since then, he's won 4 straight fights, including back-to-back triangle chokes over Luis Smolka and Jordan Espinoza. The guys looked amazing. This is a great fight. If it ends up on the ground, you have to favor Schnell, but on the feet, Pantoja definitely packs a punch and he can stay in the pocket and trade. So great fight. Love the matchmaking here. That flyweight division is looking really good lately. And I've mentioned this a few times. You know, they cut a lot of guys from that division, but I feel like the guys they kept around are really exciting. And this is going to be a great fight. So I'm looking forward to this one. Don't know who I favor really. I think it's a really close fight. Maybe Pantoja very slightly, but very close fight and a good matchup. UFC Tampa gets a bantamweight fight. I like this matchup too, although I'm a little surprised Marlon Vera, he didn't get what he wanted. I think he wanted Sean O'Malley, didn't get that fight. He called out some other guys, but he's going to be fighting Andre Ewell at UFC Tampa. So I guess a little surprising on matchup, but at the same time, Vera wanted to fight, so Ewell's available. Marlon Vera, he's awesome. He is 8-4-1 in the UFC. Great record. Won 4 straight fights by stoppage. So he's looked amazing. He finishes almost all his fights. In fact, of his 8 wins in the UFC, 7 are by stoppage. So that's really impressive. The guy's a lot of fun to watch. Coming off a nice submission win over Nohelens Hernandez. It was a tough fight for him, but he managed to pull through and get the win by stoppage. So he looked good in that one at the end. He takes on Andre Ewell here. Ewell, 31 years old, a little bit older, 15-5 record, 2-1 in the UFC, beat Hendon Brown his debut by split decision. Lost to Nathaniel Wood. No shame in that. Nathaniel Wood is an amazing fighter. And then beats on Anderson Dos Santos by a close decision. So he's coming off a win here, but you got to like Vera. Vera is awesome. I think he wins this fight. And finally, another fun little fight here at UFC Boston. Kyle Bochniak will be taking on Sean Woodson. So fun fight here. Bochniak is known for really putting on good fights. He is 8-4 overall in his career, including a 2-4 record in the UFC. So the record's not great, but this guy's in good fights. The last fight against Hakeem Dawodu at UFC 231 Toronto was a pretty close fight. He lost a split there, but it was a close one. His other loss to Zabit Magomedsharipov. Before that, in a fantastic fight, he actually probably gave Zabit the toughest fight of his career. We all remember that scene of him kind of putting his hands down and moving forward, screaming at Zabit. It was a pretty good performance and a great fight. Takes on Sean Woodson here. Sean Woodson, Dana White Contender Series alum, 6-0 in his career. He's coming off a flying knee knockout over Terrence McKinney. He was losing the whole fight, and then he got the knockout late in the second, or shouldn't say late, but early in the second round. But either way, he was losing that fight, and then he got the crazy knockout. So good for him. Dana signed into a contract. I personally don't know how good this guy's going to be in the UFC. Yeah, it was a great knockout, don't get me wrong, but I saw a lot of flaws in his game before that. So we'll see what happens. At the same time, though, Bochniak's a guy that he could probably beat. So should be a close fight. I think it can go either way, but I don't know. I guess you kind of have to fear Woodson just based on the fact he's undefeated here, and Bochniak has a really bad record in the UFC. But Bochniak's game, don't be surprised, and don't count him out. He can beat a lot of guys in the UFC. So I want to double check and see if I missed anything. I think I've got everything I wanted to cover. I really wanted to do the Bellator preview today, but again, guys, no odds. Just the one odds for the main event. Brian Bader and Chia Kongo. Right now, Bader minus 345, Kongo plus 285. We don't have any odds for the other featherweight bouts on that card, so got to wait till tomorrow. If there's no odds, I'll still break down the card either way, but I am hoping that the odds makers come out with them. Also, the UFC 242 odds, they're all completely up. And UFC Vancouver, that'd be next Saturday. The odds are up for that card, the full odds. And there's definitely some interesting odds on that card. I'm looking forward to that fight card a lot. I won't be going to that one, but I'll definitely be watching it. It should be a good one. So I think that's all I want to talk about today. A little bit of a short show, but not a ton to talk about with no breakdown. I will be doing, again, the Bellator preview tomorrow, but you guys can go back and watch the UFC 242 breakdown on Tuesday. Myself and Cole Sheldon broke down every fight in the card, gave our picks for them, so go check that out. Again, follow me on Twitter at MMAOB. This podcast is available, as always, at MMAOddsbreaker.com. Also, check me out at bjpenn.com and MMARings.net. Guys, have a great day. I'll be back tomorrow breaking down Bellator. Have a good one.